Oh, Corolla. Chris Van, back in the shop.
Hey guys.
Okay, so long overdue. I've been wanting to talk to you about this car. A lot has changed, and we haven't even shown any of this since like we last talked about it. We only talk about it on the podcast. So bring people up to speed to where the car's at right now.
Yeah, no. So it's basically my quarantine project because I worked on it while we were in lockdown, and I basically pulled off all the stock EFI stuff. So the stock intake manifold, all the wiring, the clutch fan, took that off. And I installed a link ECU. It's an Atom X, and I did the wiring harness myself. No, it's modernized it, put some silver top ITBs on it. It's got a Piper Cross filter. I did have to redo like the feed line, so this is some Vibrant hose right here. I did have to upgrade the injectors to 22 RTE injector. I chose those injectors because they're low impedance. So what happened was I just went on the internet and I read that you could just use the stock injectors with ITBs. But what happened was when I took it out and I did a wide open throttle pull on it, it would lean out at around 8,000 RPM. So I knew I needed bigger injectors. But before I did that, I installed this adjustable fuel pressure regulator just as a band-aid. It got me to the track and everything just fine. That was before upgrading the injectors, but it still needed it really bad. So yeah, I ended up upgrading it to those 22 RT injectors. But the problem with that is there's this resistor box, and these resistor boxes are for low impedance injectors, and so you wouldn't have to use 22 RT injectors if you just upgraded it to like a newer injector, like from like the small port engines, or like I think like even just like Park 7s, Miatas and stuff, they'll have like the newer injector where you don't have to have that resistor box. If I had known at the time and I had bought new injectors, then I would have just wired it without this resistor box. It's just the way that it played out. That's why I have these injectors in there. So if you were to do this, I really do recommend just getting the newer style Denso injectors.
I say this is the second time today. Don't listen to everything the internet says.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, do your own research pretty much. But yeah, hopefully I could help you guys avoid some of that by sharing some of this with you guys. Yeah. But yeah. When you go ITBs, and especially if you have cans, you do need to get bigger injectors. These are 300cc injectors, so the stock ones are about 200.
Why vent to atmosphere catch can?
So because the original setup, it goes to the intake manifold, right? Yeah. But the port that it actually goes to vents to outside of the throttle body. So if you actually look at where it vents to, it's actually already venting to atmosphere.
Oh,
but the thing is, it vents it back into the intake tract.
Oh.
So on the stock setup, it's going, it's getting sucked back in through the throttle.
Yeah.
So technically, it's supposed to vent to atmosphere too, and not in vacuum. So if you want to put it in vacuum, I think you're supposed to have a PCV valve in between.
So okay.
Yeah, but I didn't want to do a PCV valve, so I just vented it to atmosphere. Yeah. But here's a neat little, I called it a happy coincidence. When this vents out and the car is on, I actually noticed it actually just sucks back into the intake. So I'm technically replicating the OEM setup because it's technically going back into the throttle track, right? Mm-hmm. But that was a happy accident more than anything.
And there's some other like really trick stuff here, like so electric fan, and then who made this shroud?
So this is actually an excessive shroud for a beam swap. So this is actually made for the Beam's Koyo radiator. Mm-hmm. And so you can tell because there's a cutout actually for the hose on this side.
Oh, let me go over to that side.
So you see this cutout's actually meant for the hose.
On the beams.
Yeah, on the beams. But I noticed that the mounting points look the same in the pictures, and this part I had to cut out and trim for the hose outlet on the 4AG.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it was like really little modifications, and then I got it to fit. And then I only did it because it was so cheap. I think this shroud is only like $60 or something like that.
Yeah, I'd rather do this than try to cut it myself. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then I even got the foam around it and everything.
Yeah, smart man.
So it works really good. Yeah, it works great. My water temps stay stable at like 185.
So I have another question.
Yeah, for sure.
So what trigger wheel and what trigger block adapter is this?
So this is the T3 trigger wheel adapter for the solid crank pulley. Mm-hmm. I just did it like this in the interest of saving time. because the parts, I already had the T3 crank pulley. They make this kit for it and it just adapts onto it. But ideally, I think eventually I want to get a dampened pulley onto there. So this might change in the future, but just because I already had the T3 crank pulley, I just wanted to throw a T3 trigger wheel onto it.
And then who makes the trigger and bracket?
This bracket I actually made myself.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
Okay.
so what happened was the MRP kit, like it's a really nice kit, but it also like comes with the sensor and everything. And then I at the time, I just thought like, oh hey, like maybe I can make it myself, right? And get it machined locally. But then it turned out like it would have just costed the same. And what happened was it was coming up to my track day. It was either order one from BG slash, where is it? New Zealand?
Yeah.
MRP. Or just try to get one machined myself. So I sent it out to get machined.
Wow,
yeah,
shit.
And then it came back to me like within a week.
Wow.
And so it's basically a replica of the MRPs. I won't say like I designed it all on my own or anything, but I did draw the file and everything myself.
So another thing while I was standing over here.
Yeah.
What's up with this?
Yeah, so that's the vacuum. So this is the vacuum block, because you need this to pull for, so I actually have this hooked up to my auto air control valve, but you also need this for your brake booster if you want to have all the vacuum going into the same manifold. That way you have a stable vacuum signal for your brake booster and for your map. So this is going to my map and my fuel pressure regulator. Yeah, because then you still need a fuel pressure.
I was gonna
regulator.
mention you 3D printed this.
Yeah, no. So I was where I was going with this was I've seen some people mount it below and they hide this block somewhere, but I wanted it somewhere that you could reach for maintenance really easily. And then I always noticed there was like that plate that they have on the firewall right there, and so I just took out the plate and I made this block. So not only does it push this adapter out so that it clears the lines against the slip, but it also covers that hole that would be there. So yeah,
totally forgot.
Yeah, exactly. So that's little touch of little custom work there, but I just wanted to be kind of clean and accessible. So if I had to change the hoses, I don't have to, be reaching under.
And then how come you need to run trigger wheel plus the distributor?
Oh, so you don't need to, but if you want to run sequential injection and ignition, you need a separate cam signal and a separate crank trigger. Because then for this one, it's called so USDM distributors are typically four tooth and a one tooth. And typically on an OEM use, it would use the four tooth wheel for your crank RPM, and it would use the one tooth as the cam sync. So that would say like the cam just turned once. And so as you know, the crank turns twice for one revolution of the cam. And so you could run the standalone signal off of just this alone, but what happens is for, like I said, like those 4 pickup points, like it's actually up here, right? So then when this turns twice, you're only getting one rotation up there. So it's actually not super accurate. It's kind of using calculations to get your engine RPM.
Yeah.
So it's technically more accurate to have it on the crank than it is on the cam alone.
Yeah.
And so to answer your other question, you don't have to have cam timing unless you need sequential, because sequential is firing one at a time, right? For both. So it needs to know the exact position of both cam and crank. But then there's other ways that you don't need it to. So if you don't want to run sequential, then you could just run without that. You can run it off a trigger wheel alone, or vice versa. You can just run it off that alone too.
When people run the crank angle sensor GZE one, what's that setup? What do you do?
It just has a finer tooth wheel.
Yeah.
So instead of 4 tooth, it has like 24.
Yeah, that's right.
Because of that, you have more resolution, which is what you're trying to do by installing that trigger wheel, right? The problem with the 4 wheel, right, is for one rotation of the crank, you're actually only getting two teeth, right? Because then you divide it by 2. So having that 24 helps because you're actually getting 12 out of it, right? So then it's technically better to run those, but it's also more expensive, right? You know the GZE hardware is expensive. I think even the 20 valve hardware might work. Actually, no, I don't know if it will work. But I know that they work the same. The electronics work the same, where they have the same amount of teeth and everything, and they're really expensive. So this sensor I have here for my crank only costs like $20, and I bought like 3 of them. So if they ever go out, and then like I spec'd it out myself too, you know, like you don't have to use like a specific manufacturer part or anything. And then this, I could just adapt it. So basically, I was just working with what I have.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So, yeah. So a lot of people think you can't run a standalone off of this, but you can. You can run a standalone off of the US one.
And then what coil packs, plate, and distributor block off is this?
Yeah, this is all SQ stuff. So this is SQ block off plate, SQ adapter plate, and then these are, I believe, one NZ coils.
Is it a direct coil? Do you have to change the boot on these?
I don't. It's you could just drop these in.
Okay.
Yeah.
I asked because then you can just go to AutoZone and get 1NZ coils.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I always hear like the 1NZ coils aren't the best coils on the market, but it's just like we're running naturally aspirated. We're not running boosts. So
Yeah.
it's not like it matters for us. These are probably an upgrade over like the single coil you have before, right? So.
Yeah, this is trick too. The battery cut.
Oh yeah, no, I'm glad you noticed that. No, so I ran another fuse box over here.
Where'd you get this fuse box from?
I bought it from Amazon actually, but
Oh,
it's
shit.
a really nice fuse box. It's waterproof, and yeah, no, it comes with all the terminals. You just wire it up yourself, and then I have it wired with some battery cable up onto the other side. But you know, when you run a cable that long, you need to put a circuit breaker in between.
Oh, you don't need to. You just.
Or,
you don't need to.
You know, or you can start a fire. You know, it's cool too. But yeah, no, just making use of old space because we delete the original ignition coil here. So I made this bracket to install this fuse breaker right here.
man.
Yeah. Just making use of dead space, right? So, I don't know if you noticed this over here. This is a
Oh, yes.
this is actually a Panic IACV. It's an idle air control valve, and this is also a map sensor. I have it's just wired remotely, and here's the tube going to the intake.
Oh,
Yeah, it works pretty good. Yeah, I can like let off the throttle without worrying about it dying now. So yeah, it works really good. Shout out to the Panic Bros.
Shout out to Panic.
Yep.
Hey, so really interesting. I know 20 valve guys running IACV. I've seen some ghetto stuff like using a garden hose shut off for IE. So yeah, totally like do this. Don't go to Home Depot and create your own IACV.
Yeah. So the another benefit of switching to a standalone is I know that the stock 20 valve IACV is a 3-wire IACV, and that uses up to your inputs.
Ah.
But this is a 2-wire IACV. It only uses up one. So I believe the 3 wires one work better, but then like these work just fine too. The benefit of these is like I said, if you have an ECU that's limited on your inputs, these work really good because it only takes one. Right off the bat, if you're already installing a standalone into your 20 valve, I think it would be beneficial even to just run this so you can free up one input. Just a little tip.
Who makes the ITB adapter?
So that's also an SQ adapter.
Okay.
Yeah. So one thing I do want to warn some people on though, when they install the SQ kit is that you have to grind part of the throttle. So if you zoom in on this little lobe right here, the two in the middle have that too, but you have to grind it down because of the way that the SQ manifold is angled. It will actually touch the fuel rail. Yeah, so I was actually originally going to get the JSP fuel rail just as a bling bling kind of thing, right? But I soon figured out that there's going to be a lot of clearance issues, so I didn't end up getting it.
Where'd you get this hose adapter for the PCV?
That's actually from O'Reilly's.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, good shit.
Yeah, I just found it in like the PCV hose, like, you know, section. And then
There's a lot of like really trick touches to make everything look clean and functional. So like I know routing this under instead of like fucking hoses on top.
No, so I actually used to have this port going to the intake manifold. So actually it went the other way. And I wasn't gonna reuse it, but then I knew exactly what you were just saying. I was like, oh, it looks so ugly going across. And then so I tried this and it actually worked out
Nice,
fine.
man.
Yeah,
nice,
so.
nice. What else trick do we see on this? You put a new fuel filter down there. I know it's kind of dark.
Was that?
Is that a fuel filter?
No, okay, yeah. So I deleted the charcoal canister. And so I'm not gonna tell you how a charcoal canister works, but the important part about the charcoal canister is it has a vent for your gas tank, and a lot of people just remove that and just leave it open to the atmosphere. That's perfectly fine, except if you roll over, then you can have a chance of fuel spilling out of that, because I believe something in the charcoal canister has like a check valve.
Yeah, there's usually a rollover valve in it.
Yeah, to prevent that from happening. So this right here, what you saw, this little red thing, is it's called like, forgot what it's a pressure valve. So what it does is it seals off the atmosphere, but then it opens, so like if you're pouring fuel, it's enough pressure for it to open and vent, right? And so that way your garage doesn't smell like fuel. So I did that to it's basically a tiny charcoal canister.
Where'd you get this from?
It's like Summit Racing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and then there's this little filter I have up here too that it's hooked up to.
Ah.
This is just like it's just kind of like this. It's just a vent, but there's also a little check ball in there so that if you roll over it, it caps it.
Oh shit.
So that no fuel spills out. So, yeah, just little details.
Cool, man.
Yeah, because then like I've seen people delete their charcoal canisters, and when you go out in the garage or like you leave the car out in the sun or something, it just smells like fuel.
Oh no,
yeah.
no, I'm well aware. I've had an old school out parked outside, and then it's like you always smell fuel.
Yeah, exactly. I hated that, so that's why I went through the trouble of installing all of that. Yeah, I did like a lot of research to find all that stuff. Some guy on Club 4AG. So shout out to whoever posted that. But yeah.
So besides the engine, or I guess in combination of the engine, something's got to be different with the interior now, right?
Yeah. Installed a new link display. Purely because I'm not gonna lie, it's because I didn't want to do the work that Sush Pants was doing. Yeah, no. So shout out to Sush Pants. Like you figured out the RPM stuff, but I was just frankly too lazy. I didn't want to do it, and plus I just needed a lap timer for the track, so I bought this. This is a Link Edition AIM display.
Oh shit.
And shout out to the Panic Brothers who hooked me up with it. And yeah, it displays everything. It displays oil pressure, oil temp, water, battery, RPM, speeds done by GPS. That's an antenna right there. And I can actually change the view too. The last one was my street view. This is more like my track view. It's kind of like S2000-esque. It's a little easier to look at. Sorry, this is lap times and stuff, but yeah, you can have all kinds of views. Like I have ones with like times on it. It's like so predictive time, best time, lap time. Shit. Like so I even have it showing intake air temp and stuff. You can configure it to show whatever you want, so which is pretty neat. So
Did you get a new seat and bracket?
yeah,
Because I remember for the longest time there was a fake seat and bracket in here.
yes, I'm glad you called that out. Because,
Yeah.
No, I didn't like the fact that I was finally rounding out my car in a lot of places, and I just had this fake Recaro seat for the longest time, which I didn't install. But it served me well for the longest time, but I decided I needed a real seat, so I got a Recaro Pro.
Nothing like a real seat, huh?
No, it feels so good, man.
Yeah, my first real seat was that OMP in my Corolla.
Yeah.
Nothing, dude. I'll never go back.
No, it just feels so plush. Like even though it's like technically the same seat as my replica one, it's just the foam and everything. The way.
Yeah, it's not the same seat. It's not the same seat.
It's not. It just looks the same.
Yeah. Cool. Is there anything different in here? Like, where do you shove like the link and stuff now?
So the link is actually back here. Sorry, I don't have it accessible right now, but yeah, it's okay. This cable goes to it. I built an adapter for it. I actually used to have like a bunch of gauges all over the place too.
That's right.
Yeah. So then I actually hacked the center console up to install a gauge a while back, but now that I don't have it anymore, I installed this little 3D printed adapter.
Oh no shit.
And for like a little USB cable, and so that actually goes for the dash.
Oh man.
So I can plug it in and update the dash and everything.
Yeah. So for you guys that don't know, one used to be a speaker cover for the speed warning. These two you can actually swap. That's why the cigarette lighter you can swap sides.
I swapped it on the
This is not like the JDM freaking center console.
Yeah. And then and then I just moved this gauge up here, and then that's it. Because I wanted to simplify all the gauges. I was getting ready to install a water temperature gauge, and if you might remember, Zeke, I had like 2 gauges right here, and then I was just like, where am I gonna install another gauge? So then that's why I was like, it is a lot of money, and it is just bling. I'm not gonna lie. I could sound like I'm justifying this as much as possible, but at the end of the day, it is bling. But it did simplify up my entire dash setup, so I'm grateful for that. Yeah.
Nice, man. What's this thing in the back?
What's that? Oh, that's just my external battery, and I usually hook it up to my GoPro so that I'm not running it off the internal battery all day.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Cool. Alright, hold on. Let me,
Oh, never mind.
You know the trick?
Hold it, right?
No.
What's the trick?
Oh, yeah, Dude, that's a Corolla thing. If you have a hatchback, you need 2 people to open the hatch.
Yeah, I knew that. So what I did was I tried to prop up the lever open and I tried to just pry it. But I guess that doesn't work. So.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah, I just went back here and I was like trying to lift it. I was like, okay, it doesn't work.
Yeah. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, that's a hatchback thing. Like, this thing's supposed to pop the hatch up, but these cars are so old by now. Now you need your friend to open the hatch when you want to open the hatch. So, I don't think we've ever talked about this thing before.
No, yeah, you gave this to me. Thanks a lot, man. This is like a really nice piece.
It's a miracle.
Yeah. No, and then, for those of you that don't know, hatches, I mean, this might be a subjective thing, but I've driven both hatches and coupes around, and like, I've always felt like the hatches felt a little more floppy, and it would make sense because the coupe has a parcel shelf going across it, and the hatch doesn't, so there's like nothing back here. So when I put this in, it actually made my car oversteer more because the rear end just became more stiff after I put this in, and I could actually feel like my suspension doing work. Because before it just felt like a wet noodle, but now it's like I could actually feel the suspension compressing and everything. So it actually helps a lot. So thanks a lot for that one.
Yeah, and then when you install this, we discovered a lot of interesting things. Like what's up with
this? So apparently, I guess in other markets, they had a seatbelt back here because when I was installing this, right, I had to like come up with some trick to be able to drill a hole into these panels. So, you know, I just did the old put a marker there and like try to line it up, right? But for these top ones, I noticed when I took them off on the back, like in the plastic was like a perfect circle that was embedded into the plastic, almost like for someone to drill a hole through it, right? And then so I said, let's try drilling these holes. What's the worst that can happen? And sure enough, it just lines up perfectly into these pillars, and these pillars actually have a threaded hole in it for actually I believe it's a standard bolt. I don't remember what size off the top of my head. Yeah. But standard bolts, I don't know, for those of you that don't know, are usually meant for seat belts. So I think,
interesting.
Yeah, so I think they make all seatbelt holes, mount holes standardized, so SAE.
Yeah.
And so that's why I kind of suspected that these were for a seatbelt hole. And I think you're the one that found the listing for it. Someone was selling a seatbelt for the rear seats.
Yeah. So I think back in the day when you first installed this, we were like, is this for like child seat anchors?
Yeah, because we weren't sure. Like why, you know, like the stock car comes with these, you know, stock belt, you know, just like a lap belt, but no harness across, right?
So I think I found it on Facebook.
Yeah.
Apparently in UK, there's a 3-point seatbelt option for the rear seats.
Yeah.
And I think, we saw the rear seats. That's what.
Yeah, and it actually bolts up right here.
Yeah. The shoulder belt should bolt up that thing.
Yeah. So pretty interesting find, but yeah, it makes a good place to install this thing.
So this did stiffen up the car.
It did. Yeah. I forgot what track day it was, but all I installed was this bar, and then I had to, when I went out, I believe it was the same track, but it was, so I believe I was going to Button Willow for a second time in the same setup except this bar, and I think I had to change my shock settings because that's how different.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it was oversteering like way more. Yeah, so I remember when I bought the Corolla, you know, obviously you grow up and you watch videos of people drifting these things and people are always saying like, yeah, these things oversteer like crazy. But I remember when I bought mine, it didn't oversteer like crazy until I put that thing in. So I don't know. Maybe mine's just a little worn out. The chassis is a little worn out and it just needed it. I don't know. I think it helped. But eventually I do want to get a roll bar back here, and I probably won't need this after that. But
yeah, if this thing's gonna turn to a full race car, probably need roll bar and full harness in this thing now. So yeah. Do you always run these wheels on the street?
I do now. Okay. These are my only street wheels now. I have NTO ones on the other wheels.
What did you buy TEs?
The TEs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I don't want to drive on those on the street.
Cool. So these are kind of special. Tell us about the.
Yeah, so these are 15x8 Kosei K1s or Buddy Club P1s, as someone. They're made by like the same manufacturer in Japan or something like that, but I don't want to get into that. But the sizing is what's special about them, is because they're 15x8 in a 4x114, and I believe that was quite a rare size. So I won't say special for the Corolla because I don't know that, but I do know that this size is very special. And a lot of people have actually tried to.
Oh yeah, because typically 15 by 7 is really common. By
Yeah,
8,
so-
that's what make these special.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. What brakes are these?
The Willwoods, the Battle Garage kit, they were great. I used to have a lot of braking issues with it. We probably documented some of it at this point, but yeah, I haven't thought about my brakes since. So let's just say they work, right?
So I always remember you had issues with like how poor your brake pedal feel was. And I told you like, well, it's probably time for big brakes. And you're like, it's not big brakes.
I was just so stubborn, yeah, because I came from the Miata world where guys are like running stock brakes on spec Miata cars, and you know I just couldn't accept the fact that like these stock brakes couldn't take it. But then, you know, there's obviously like design differences, and the Miata was a 10-year newer car, then might be some differences there as well. But either way, no more braking issues since I went to the front big brake kit, so no regrets there. I do now think of brakes as a safety item rather than a performance item. Because if you can't stop, then you can't drive fast. So don't listen to what people say. If you feel like you need big brakes, then just get them.
Yeah. I think the other thing too is like the RE71s, you have the tires to match the brakes too.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's do you get oil starvation at all with this?
No.
Okay.
Why, what's up?
No, just curious, like they make like baffled pans, and like I know we did a review on the dry sump.
Yeah,
so.
no, I don't have any oil starvation issues. I don't even have the oil pressure up kit, like
for the pump.
Yeah, for the pump. I just have the silver top pump, but I don't have the actual pressure up kit, and I've never actually had oil starvation issues.
The other thing I forgot to ask when we were up there, where'd you get this cool sheathing from? This HKS?
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, so this is made by TechFlex, which is a company that makes sheathing for their for wires and stuff, and they usually make it in black, and then this is the fireproof stuff, and it usually comes with a white stripe on it to show that it's like fireproof, right? But then like I saw that they had green ones, and then me and Kevin, shout out to Star Cruiser Drive Yard, we both like green a lot. So I just decided one day, like, hey, like I'm making this entire engine harness myself, like might as well throw a little flare in it. And then some of the wires are actually blue.
Oh.
And so what actually happened was when it peeks through the sheath, it actually gives it kind of an HKS look.
Oh,
so
okay,
that was completely by accident, but I love the way it turned out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it turned out great. I can link you where to buy that, but basically it's just like fireproof sheathing that you can buy from like wiring supply website. You can buy it by like the foot or like by the spool. It's actually like not too expensive, and it really just cleans up your wiring. All you need is just some of the sheathing and some heat shrink with the adhesive heat shrink, and then just to seal off the ends of the sheathing. So.
Is this the combo I told you? Battle version outers and what inners?
No, so these are just stock inners.
Okay.
I think I might need to get
the long inners.
Long inners, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, because I don't know if you noticed, I didn't put the long, I didn't put the extended control arms.
Yeah, you're probably gonna need the long inners.
Yeah.
You'll see it gets really shy on thread once you get the extended LCAs.
Yeah, so I was meaning to ask you which ones to buy, I guess.
Okay.
So I didn't know.
Okay.
Don't know if you want to talk about that on video.
Yeah. So I think it's Mark II Supra inners, which are getting really hard to find now, but they thread into a Corolla rack and they're longer. Because if you imagine plus 15 or plus 25 even extended LCA, that means everything else needs to get longer too, right? Yeah. And so what the risk you run is that you run out of thread, and that gets dangerous. Yeah. The reason I asked you battle version outers is did you add this boot or just
I added that boot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Where'd you get that boot from?
It's a company called Seals It, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's something that I need, because for sure running Heims on a streetcar, Heims on a streetcar is tough, and this will like extend the life of them by a lot.
Yeah. So I mean, I just installed these because I got these on sale, and I was hoping they would help with bump steer, but I didn't install them specifically to help with bump steer. I just installed them because they were nice, and then actually it did help with my bump steer a little. So, yeah, no, I think they were good. Like I had a lot of steering tracking issues, especially going over bumps, so they obviously bump steer. And then now when I go over a bump, I noticed it doesn't steer nearly as. And I went with the battle versions because I don't like T3 how they require you to drill the knuckle.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know if a lot of people knew that, but T3 makes these too, and I'm sure it's a great product. But personally, I just didn't want to drill into the knuckle in case I ever wanted to revert back to stock or something. You know, then I wouldn't have to get a new knuckle. Yeah, battle version, good parts.
Need to get some JSP, the JSP Cusco engine mount combo.
I know, yeah.
Drop this thing an inch like me.
Yeah. No, I definitely do want to get the JSP mounts. Haven't gone around to it.
So, T50, what's special about this T50?
This is a Ezekiel spec T50. Yeah, I just told you I needed to last at the racetrack, and so you did your magic on it. It's been shifting great. Usually run mold tool through it. Oh, you can probably see it from here. This is the SQ Honda adapter, starter adapter. And oh, you can actually see it from here. Here's the bolt I was telling you about. And this is actually how much clearance do you have.
Oh, okay, so it's this bolt.
Yep.
Let me squeeze by you. It's that bolt. Oh yeah, the Allen-headed bolt that if you don't use that bolt, it might contact the...
And so this bolt, I think, is like, got it off like a motorcycle parts website. So it's probably like a bolt for like a crankcase or something on a motorcycle. But was not a cheap bolt, but I don't have any clearance issues because of it. Yeah, I think it's like a $15 bolt.
What's up with this speedo conversion that's not plugged in?
So I have GPS for my link display. So I deleted the speedo cable, but I eventually want to get flat shift working. So flat shift is like no throttle lift shifting. But in order to do that, you need a wheel speed sensor. So you can't do it by GPS because the car needs to know if the wheels are turning or not. And so I found out that, well, a lot of Toyota's parts are very parts binny. Like you can just swap them on. Usually they don't change the threads and stuff. So I just took a complete gamble. I think I read somewhere that this is the sender they usually install if you're installing a digital cluster for your. So even like the digital JDM cluster conversion, I think you can use this too. But this part comes off, I think, a Lexus GX 470 or something like that. And, it's a 3-wire. It's 1 power, ground, and then signal, and then you can have a wheel speed sensor that way too. So.
It's hilarious. I knew it was gonna be an off-road car because Toyota off-road, there's a huge amount of support.
Yep.
With like Toyota, this kind of stuff, there's no support.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, so just a complete gamble because I was just like, oh, like Toyotas are part bin cars, so usually they don't change the thread sizing and stuff.
So I mean, just fun fact for you and everyone else, like Impulse on their kit to do vehicle speed, they put a flying magnet and there's like a bracket and a sensor. So that's one other way you can do it, flying magnet off of the drive shaft. Pretty straightforward under here. It's what's it called? I know we haven't done a review on my car on the channel, but it's hilarious like how similar Chris and my car. Well, they used to be before all this stuff, right?
Yeah, our cars are very similar.
Yeah. And the reason I bring that up is because the catback, right?
Yeah. So I won't lie, like you definitely inspired me to get this exhaust because when I was getting into 86s, I saw a video on YouTube of this exhaust and I just loved the sound of it. But I bought an HKS exhaust because my stock exhaust was falling apart. So I only bought an exhaust out of necessity. I couldn't wait for this one because this car was my daily at one point. But eventually I saw Ezekiel get one and I was just like, oh man, I didn't know they were that affordable. It was just that time was a factor for me. And so I ended up just buying one too. It's a really nice exhaust.
So it fit crooked at first, and then what ended up happening?
So I contacted Brave, and they actually told me that in cars that have been in a front end accident, the exhaust can be a little crooked sometimes. Like, so they said, because I asked them, I sent them a picture and it was like sagging. It was like sagging and crooked. And then I was like, is this how it's supposed to fit? And they said no, but then that's how it usually fits with cars that have been in a front end accident. And I was just like, great, like my car's been in a front end accident before. But I'm not sure what happened, but I think when the headers went on, something changed because I never changed the exhaust or anything. I tried bending the hangers a little to help out with it, but what really changed it was when I installed this exhaust, or this header.
Yeah, so what header is this?
This is the Martellius BG fast road header, but I believe this is a prototype because initially the first runner didn't clear the oil filter, but Ezekiel modified this one to fit for me.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if it's a result of just the way I installed it or something, or if it was because of the modification, but I noticed I did have to twist this flange a bit. And luckily I have a flex pipe, so you can twist it a bit, right? But I think twisting it just put it into the right position basically, because now it looks okay. Like it probably doesn't tuck up as nice as yours, but it looks more normal now. It doesn't look like it's sagging anymore. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So now I'm happy with the exhaust. But either way, I feel like to solve that issue, I could also just get a new test pipe, weld it up, maybe with V-bands. But if not, either way, I think what's holding it up is here. So yeah.
So what do we have for the rear end?
So this is also Ezekiel's spec. I say that because he rebuilt this for me. Also on an emergency, because I blew my diff over a weekend once. We talked about that in the video.
Yeah. Recap. Why did you blow this up?
Yeah. So basically, I was in a Formula SAE club, and we had a parking lot rented out for us that weekend, and we were testing our race car there, and then. You know, kids in a parking lot with cone set up. Oh yeah, let's run our cars in it. And then yeah, I was just like clutch kicking this thing like crazy, and then it just after that it was just clunking like when I drove home. So yeah, we found that the pinion had contacted the
LSD, right?
actual LSD itself.
Yeah.
So not sure what happened there, but maybe the pinion bearings or something gave up, or maybe even that what's it called, the crush lead just gave out completely or something, you know. But either way, it was contacting when it wasn't supposed to. Now there's a 1.5 way Cusco Type RS LSD in here with a 4.7 rear.
Did we put an M factory in this?
We did put an M factory.
Okay, so yeah. Luckily.
So completely cruisable.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, it's great. Like it really livens it.
How did I work that in for you? How did I get that M factory in there? How did I?
No, so we rebuilt the trans way.
No. I'm saying like, how was I able to hook you up that fat, man?
Oh, I know, right? Yeah. No, seriously. No, I think what had happened was I think you contacted me saying you had an M factory in stock, and then that's when I was like, let's do it. Let's do the rebuild. Like I need a rebuild. Like so I got lucky because I don't think it exists right now.
Yeah, people still dying for M Factory Fifth right now.
So.
Yeah. We completely missed the facility we're right next to.
Yep, this is an Annex Club Spec prototype. So
yeah, it's interesting because it's a prototype, but I didn't realize you were still in divorced rear.
Yeah, no. Oh, so you switched over to true rear?
No, I'm still on my old stuff.
Yeah, no, I am a big fan of just leaving it on divorced rear, especially because of the pictures I've seen of the tear out.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure once I get this caged and reinforced up there, it wouldn't be too much of a problem to run true rear. But even then, I just prefer the stock. Well, because I actually like these springs. You gave me these 5.5 BGRS Swifts. I don't even know if they sell these anymore.
Yeah.
But 0.5 less than what I had before. I had a 6K spring.
Hold on, no, still for sale. Those springs are still for sale.
Yeah, okay, no.
Yeah, 4.5 and 5.5.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure. That's why I said that. But yeah, no. I came from a 6K spring, and you know, you would think 0.5 of a drop isn't that much, but it made me actually enjoy driving the car on the street again.
Yeah.
Like just dropping it down by 0.5.
Yeah, it's not even. I think it's not even the rate. It's the amount of progressiveness in the spring.
Yeah, because I believe the normal ones are linear springs, and I believe the BG spec ones are progressive.
Yeah.
So I believe that's the magic in them. So.
Yeah, magic, because we went through like 3 one-offs to get the correct rate and height of these springs. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, so I mean, I love them. They're good. They're great.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I got this. I don't think this was in here last time. You
Yeah,
were under the car, but I got these too. So these restore the angle of the sway bar. These are made by T3. I'm a little sad. I think these were supposed to be gunmetal and gold, but they probably just a batch problem or something. They sent me all gold, which is fine. I don't really care, but I would have liked the gunmetal.
I was gonna say I have the same thing, but I was like, did they change the colors?
No, I think this was probably just a batch, like accidental batch, because I think I saw. Shout out to Third Strike Ben. He's a great fabricator.
Yep.
He got a batch and they were all gray.
Oh.
Yeah, so I think it's just a difference in batch type of thing, you know.
What brake pads do you run for your tracks?
So running G-Lock. So my rears are Carbotech, my fronts are G-Locks, but G-Lock and Carbotech were the same company. They were the same. The engineers from G-Lock left Carbo, but all you need to know is the compounds are exactly the same.
So what compound are you running?
So I'm running R10 in the front. All right, yeah, R10 front and rear. Sorry, yeah. So I don't usually mix compounds. Some people like to get a stronger one in the front and a weaker one in the rear. I usually just run the same ones. And yeah, no, these are great. I had to upgrade the front ones because we were running the same pads. I believe they were the Willwood ones.
Oh yeah,
and you were saying they were comparable to HPS, I think. And I didn't have any problems with them. They worked just fine. But the thing was, last time I did maintenance, I took off the wheel and I found that the brake pads were crumbling.
Oh
yeah. So then that's when I realized, like, okay, these are way too, like, I'm overheating these pads. They might be fine for now, but I noticed that they just kept crumbling. So then the pad wasn't even anymore. So I was just like, okay, I think I need to get a new pad.
Okay, so that's really interesting. Like, not even like friction coefficient, but like physically the pad's lasting due to the heat.
Yeah, so I mean, like, the compound it comes with in the stock kit, if you're just gonna be on the street or drifting, I think it's
perfect.
Fine.
Yeah.
But I was using our compound tires, so I'm going really fast.
Hold on. So then again, like, they've been fine for me, but also Chris. What was your last time at Laguna?
A Laguna 156.
Yeah, so Chris is also 4 seconds faster than me, so that's a big tell too, depending how fast a driver you are. Yeah, cool, man. Well, we can do like a small wrap up. Yeah.